I'm Josh Light with PoliticIt.com here in Minnesota with Stephen Williams. He's running for U.S. Senator with the Independence Party of Minnesota. How you doing today, Stephen?
Real good. It's a very nice day.
It is a very nice day here in Minnesota. So, Stephen, tell me, what are the big differences between you and your competitor in this race?
Well, I want to overthrow the ruling parties, and they want to sustain the ruling parties.
And tell me about your experience and how it's prepared you to be a U.S. Senator.
Well, my experience is I'm a farmer. I actually grew up in Minneapolis and then moved to southern Minnesota at the age of 25 and been there for 30 some years since then. But farmers are very independent, and I think I've use those skills. I mean, farmers kind of do everything. Instead of calling someone to fix a problem, they kind of roll up their shirt sleeves and they fix it themselves. And that's, I guess, the attitude I'm taking into this race. I mean, I think we have some serious problems that need fixing, and I don't see anybody who's doing the right job. So if nothing else, I'm going to try to shake things up a little bit and get people thinking in a little different direction.
Stephen, what's wrong with our economy?
Well, we've been borrowing too much for too long. Too many promises have been made that cannot be kept. And if you look at what's happening in Europe right now, it's basically a symptom of the same thing. Spending money that they don't have, borrowing money. And in this country, we do have a Federal Reserve that's able to print money to kind of make up the difference, but that will only work for so long. Eventually, there are adjustments, major adjustments that are going to have to be made. And I feel we don't have a lot of time, and if we don't make the adjustments before the crisis comes, we're probably heading into we're on a path of social and economic self-destruction. So I'd like to see us avoid that result.
How do we avoid that result? What do we need to do to stimulate this economy?
I believe we need to stimulate from the bottom up instead of bailing out from the top in hopes that it trickles down. I mean, I think that's what we've been doing the past few years, bailing out the financial industry, which is basically the group of people that got us into this mess. I feel instead we need to support job growth. That is the basis of a real economy. The casino of Wall Street does not create real wealth, it only transfers it. If we can create jobs in this country, real jobs, that's what we need to do in order to have an enduring economy.
One of the big things that you talk about is Medicare. You want to talk about Medicare a little bit?
Yeah, I think Medicare is good, except it doesn't go far enough. We need to have Medicare for everyone, and we need to relieve employers and their workers of the cost of health care. That's the biggest problem with Obamacare, is it forces those costs, and we have the most expensive health care system in the world, on the employer, and ultimately anything that the employer is responsible for, the worker has to pay for. We need to relieve the American worker of the cost of health care. It's a tremendous burden, and employers can avoid those costs by producing products overseas, as well as consumers can avoid those costs by purchasing products made overseas. So I believe that one of the most important things we could do to help create jobs and help small businesses is have Medicare for everyone, and instead of paying for it with payroll taxes, we need to pay for it with a national sales tax or consumption tax.
What does the Independence Party of Minnesota believe?
Well, the Independence Party believes in responsible government, honest government that doesn't steal from the future, that you pay as you go. You don't make promises that you can't keep, and more importantly, I believe the Independence Party is an alternative to our ruling parties, which have gotten us here. It's the ruling parties are happy to take turns. We'll be president, for a few years. Then you could have control of Congress for a few years. We'll get it back. But to say that they haven't done anything in the last 6 years is really not correct. They've increased the deficit by over $7 trillion. Now, that's not gridlock, and they're both responsible for that. And we have to get away from that. And they're in the process power, economic power, is just being concentrated in fewer and fewer hands. Like I say, we've bailed out the financial industry, the economic elite. We need to work from the support the bottom up, not bail out the top again and hope it trickles down.
What are you doing to improve your IT score?
Well, one thing I like to do is you get lots of emails, okay, lots and lots of emails, and when I respond to them, I don't respond. I respond. I write up a response to each individual, and then I post it on a special web page just to that individual, and then that way I could see if they look at it too, because I have my analytics that tell me whether that web page gets viewed. And it's one way. I mean, I think it's probably the most important way that I get people to come to my webpage and see what I'm about.
Are you using social media?
I'm on Facebook too, and my likes are increasing steadily. But yeah, I use Facebook too. I don't. I concentrate more on the web page myself. It's amazing. There's only so much time, and as well as the fact that I'm still farming. But it is the web, social media is the one thing that makes it possible for a candidate like me to compete. I don't have the money, I don't have the millions of dollars to spend, but if people are interested, they can find me. And I feel and another thing I do to not so much my ID score, but the idea of making my campaign grab more, is I'm not mainstream. Again, mainstream is what got us to where we are. The ruling parties are mainstream. Okay, I'm something that I'm different, and I feel not only is that what going to get me attention, but it's what we need to do in order to address the issues. And there's no point being mainstream in winning, because we're not going to solve the problems that way. I feel I'm somewhat revolutionary, somewhat radical, wanting to eliminate payroll taxes. I don't know of any other candidate that's discussing that and substituting a national sales tax for that instead. There are other candidates that are for universal health care, and I'm for that, and that's good. But like I say, I try to be somewhat radical, but with a specific purpose, so they could see here is something that no one else is offering. I'm going to follow this.
And how is your campaign going?
Well, it's going well. Going by not my ID score, but I'm just looking at my viewership on my webpage. It's steadily increasing. I don't know if it might take a couple of years in order to get to the point where I win, but who knows? We'll just have to see.
Where can people go to learn more about you?
My website is Prairie Fire USA. I come up with that name because I also restore native prairie plants on my farm, and part of that is burning off the weeds periodically, which is I think what we need to do in government, is burn off the weeds and the special interests that are destroying our nation. And so prairiefireusa.com is my website, and I'll be happy to look for you to show up on my analytics.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you.